What's going on, everyone? I hope you all had a great day in the market, but even if you didn't, that's all right. We have one day left for the week, so let's make it count. The S&P 500, or more specifically SPY, is $1.50 away from a brand new all-time high. Today was a pretty explosive day for some AI-related stocks, as ticker symbol AMD just blasted to the moon as it popped up by 9% in a day, and some of the options on this one increased by like 10x, so that was pretty crazy. But so far today, or the market today, had 63% of stocks in the green, and in this video we're going to go over some good setups for tomorrow and the other important things you should know about to hopefully end this week on a green note. But with that being said, Tom, let's get right into it.
Yeah, Mike, like you said, AMD was on fire today, and the overall market was pretty good, too. The SPY ended up 0.36%. It's not like it was up a ton, but you can see the move early on this morning with the PCE data kind of shot the market up a little bit, which kind of surprised me, considering that it kind of showed inflation was moving up slightly. But at the end of the day, the SPY ended up running up to like 509.75. Like you mentioned, very close to a new all-time high. If we go out to an hourly chart, you can see that all-time high just on the horizon on the left side of your screen. I'm circling it right there. So if we can pass that mark tomorrow, it might be a good spot for a potential breakout. At the same time, though, we need to be very, very cautious that we don't see a huge rejection here. We've seen this happen plenty of times at the all-time high, but I'll tell you what, Mike, with AMD and everything running, I wouldn't be surprised if we kept breaking out.
Exactly, and AMD actually broke above the $300 billion market valuation today, which is pretty good, and there wasn't even any, like, game-changing news with this one either, and it still had a giant day. You know, some people are attributing this move to, like, the AI hype, but at the end of the day, you can argue that NVIDIA is also heavily involved in AI, and their stock didn't really move too much, or, it was up a little bit, but it wasn't up anywhere near the amount that AMD was. So on any given day, there's normally like 1 to 2 stocks that really, run the show, and, it's all about following the money, right? And right now, AMD is getting all the inflows. Looking at this stock in the short term, Tom, it's at all-time highs. There's a bunch of buyers flowing into it. What are your thoughts on key levels and just things to be aware of with this one for tomorrow?
Yeah, so I'll say this right off the bat, we're getting close to $200. In after hours, we're sitting around 194. I would say 195 is probably pretty big too. If we go over to the book map here and we go to AMD, we can actually scroll out and see kind of where those sellers were sitting at today. 195 was pretty big, so we need to be careful of that tomorrow. As we scroll out, there's not really too many here until we get to 200. That's going to be the next major spot after 195. There is minor sellers sitting here on each whole dollar mark, but at the end of the day, $200 even is going to be a big resistance. Hopefully AMD can get there tomorrow at least, but at the end of the day, Mike, we're going to need to see a good breakout above that sooner rather than later, because even if we do have a good day tomorrow, that'll be coming into play early next week then.
Exactly. So, here's the thing with AMD. If it opens up tomorrow in a strong way and it puts continuous pressure on its high of day, just like it did today, then there is a scalp potential all day long with this stock. At the same time, though, if we go to like a daily chart, we will see that in the past, whenever AMD has had like a very big green day, a lot of times that has been followed by a like mediocre day or even a red day. So it's like it all comes down to, how the flows are coming in. If there's constant pressure on the high of day, there's opportunity. But at the same time, if it's not showing that same level of just bullish strength that we saw today, then don't force a mediocre opportunity. But either way, keep a close eye on this one for tomorrow, because it is seeing some pretty good action right now. But Tom, as you mentioned, the market moved in a pretty decent way this morning as PCE data came out, and it shot the market higher. So what's going on with all that stuff?
Yeah, so the PCE data came out. We can see right here that it's actually shooting up quite a bit from the recent reading of 0.1%. So it ended up popping up to 0.4%, which was a pretty big increase. But at the end of the day, this was expected. So, it didn't really surprise the market at all. So I guess that's kind of like why it ran up. But at the end of the day, Mike, I thought that with seeing PCE starting to move up a little bit, that would kind of shoot the market down because, with inflation concerns and things like that. But I'm really kind of concerned to see this rising. Hopefully we don't see inflation going up on the next reading. But like I said, though, it was expected. So at the end of the day, the market didn't really care too much.
No doubt. And sometimes in the market, you can have bad news and the stock market goes up, and sometimes you could have good news and the stock market goes down. But in this market, it is more important than anything else to keep a close eye on like the big tech stocks. Right now, the top 10 stocks in the S&P 500 control about a little bit over a third of the market. We have not seen this much control out of the top 10 companies in over 44 years. And, we can't even go back far enough to get like a true reading. But what I'm trying to say is that in this market, all you have to look at are the big tech stocks right now, because whatever they're doing, not only does it have a direct impact on the market overall, but it also completely controls the sentiment with the market. So on any given day, you have to be looking at stocks like Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Google, stocks like that, right? Because what they're doing, it basically dictates what the market's going to do.
They really do, and I think that this heat map really shows it today. Like, we can see commercial services down. We saw Visa, MasterCard, even like the retailers like Walmart, Costco, Procter & Gamble, KO. The financial sector was very mixed. Healthcare stocks were down, but the market did not care one bit because, we saw the big weightings start to move up, especially some of these AI companies like NVIDIA, Google, AMD even probably pushed it pretty good, going up as much as it did. But man, Mike, we talk about the top 10 stocks quite a bit, and today they really showed, I guess, their strength.
No doubt about that. Definitely looking at you, AMD, as it popped up by 9% in a day. But going into tomorrow, Tom, what do we have in terms of earnings and economic events to watch out for?
Yeah, it is the end of the week, but we do have Plug and Fubo reporting. They're two pretty popular stocks. They have some pretty good movement sometimes. So, if you see a good move early on, we could maybe follow that volatility to the upside or the downside, just depending on how volatile it gets. But let's keep these earnings on the schedule for tomorrow. And then going into the economic data, we have ISM manufacturing PMI. So that is a pretty big data point, but at the end of the day, it probably won't move the market like the inflation data did today.
All right, sounds good. So let's get right into some setups and predictions for tomorrow. A stock I'm watching pretty closely right now is Enphase, and this one popped up by just under 7% today. Towards the open today, this stock was running in a more consistent and powerful way than anything else, and then eventually AMD took its spot, but it still ended up having a pretty decent day, and there was a lot of bullishness that flowed into this stock. If we could see Enphase break above that $129.70 level, then I would definitely consider playing this one for a breakout trade to the upside.
Yeah, that's looking pretty good for tomorrow. I know that there were a few of these stocks that were moving up, like the clean energy type of plays, so that's pretty fire there. Hopefully, Enphase can continue. With my next play, I'm looking at a pretty risky stock here, which is ARM. This stock was up 5.36% today. It's been hyped up a ton lately, and it broke back above 140 today, which I thought was nice, and it has a great move in after hours, kind of following AMD. So if we see good momentum with this tomorrow, and we continue to see that push on the high of day, kind of like we talked about with AMD, then I think that we could continue to see a breakout. So keep watching ARM. I think there's a lot of momentum, and it's one of those stocks that might follow AMD up.
All right, sounds good. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is GLD. So this follows gold prices. What I'm looking for with this one is just consistent pressure on that high of day. GLD kind of does whatever it wants relative to the market. It just has a mind of its own sometimes. But basically, again, I just want consistent pressure on that high of day. If GLD can do that, then I would definitely consider riding this one to the upside. On the other hand, if it just bounces around and does nothing or doesn't really move that much, then it would just be better off as a skip.
Yeah, the metals, they're not always like the best to trade sometimes intraday, but whenever they do move, they usually have some pretty good opportunities out there. So I'll definitely keep it on the radar, Mike. With my next play, I'm looking at another stock that is a little bit slower than, AMD or something along those lines, and that's Intel, but it's also doing very well. I know that Intel, ARM, AMD, they're kind of similar, so I'll be looking for this one to also have great momentum tomorrow. These chip stocks are hot right now, and if we get continuations, there'll be a lot of opportunities out there. So I also like Intel because if I go to the daily chart, it's not super overextended like AMD is, right? It's kind of more around support, and whenever you look at it down here, it almost looks like a decent dip buy with all the volatility happening.
There we go. All right, well, let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And the first one is a stock that we just won't shut up about lately, and that is Zoom to the upside.
Yeah, we've been talking about this one a ton, and look at that daily chart. There's been 3 great green candles in a row since earnings, and we'll be continuing to look for another break tomorrow above the recent high at $71.35. So if we can break that, go ahead and look at calls.
Sounds good. With the next one, we have Snow to the downside.
Man, they got pummeled on earnings. They actually started coming back a little bit today, but there's a major resistance here on the chart right around 190. So if they keep bouncing off of that and falling back down, I look for a breakdown below 183 and then maybe look to enter some puts.
All right, and then with the last one, we have TLT for both directions.
Yeah, TLT is going to be interesting. I know they had a pretty good move this morning with that PCE data. If they can break above 94.40, then go ahead and look at calls. If they start dipping down under 93.50, then go ahead and eye up puts.
All right, so we have the downside level for puts, and we have the upside level for calls. This is for TLT. Don't forget about Snow and Zoom as well. With Snow, we have the downside level, and then for Zoom, we have the upside one. Keep a close eye on these 3 stocks for tomorrow. They are all potential day trade opportunities, and we want to see the stocks play off the levels Tom listed. If they do, then it would make sense to trade these setups. If the stocks do not move off the levels Tom listed, then skip the setups and pick a different one. We covered a lot of them today, and we're going to have a couple more setups throughout the rest of the video as well. And speaking of that, we might as well get right into today's big money $4.9 million trade of the day. It's been a little while since we had one $4.9 million big, Tom. So today we are looking at CART, Instacart. And basically today the big money put, we'll call it $4.9 million into the CART 33 strike call options that expire on April 19th of 2024. These call options are right at the money. They have some time to them. It's a relatively big trade. A director at this company also bought $4 million worth of CART shares lately as well. This is a newer IPO, so there's not too much chart data to go off of, but the stock has been trending in a pretty good way, and I'll be watching this one closely over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that is a ton of volatility in the short term. It has been running up with some really good momentum. If we go to that recent low on this dip to where it is on the recent high, it's almost up 40%, right around that 39% mark. So I definitely like this play, Mike. Whenever I saw it come out, I actually got really excited because we usually don't see plays that have this type of volatility where we're seeing like somebody throw $5 million at the money calls. So I'll definitely be watching this one for another move back up here over the next couple weeks. If we see like another breakout tomorrow up above that $33 mark, it might just have a really good continuation. So keep this one on the radar for the next couple weeks. I'm sure it'll be one of the more funner ones that we've seen in a while, right?
No doubt. Well, Tom, it's been a pretty crazy week so far, given all of the giant moves, whether we're looking at AMD today, whether we're looking at the market, $1.50 away from its all-time high for SPY at least, or even some of the crazy moves earlier in the week with stocks like VKTX. But going into tomorrow, obviously it's a Friday, so the 0 days expiration options will be moving extra crazy on days, on those types of days. It is not uncommon to see some giant increases with those options. So if we see a stock moving in a pretty big way, there should be some pretty good opportunity associated with that. And I know a lot of people definitely hit off of AMD in the stocked up trading floor today. As you guys could see, we were pretty early to this AMD move. I talked about AMD, I believe, 23 minutes into the market open, and then our bots just would not shut up about this stock all day long, whether it was SurgeBot or SMBot. They just kept mentioning it over and over again, and on an intraday basis, these options popped up by like 900 or 800% in some cases. So if you want in on the action, come join us in the stocked up trading floor. It'll be that first link in the description and the comments down below. You can chat with Tom and myself all day long. You can access our army of trading bots. You get access to the big money trades every single day before the market closes, and it's the place to be if you're into short-term trading. So come join us. And while we're in the Discord, I want to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Vontae26, that just crushed it. Basically, he grew his account by, we'll call it 12.5% today, and he's been pretty active in the Discord. So huge shout out to you, and keep that momentum rolling. But with everything being said, Tom, do you have any last minute things you're looking at for the market tomorrow?
Yeah, today was a fantastic day in after hours. AMD continues to go up. I'm just going to continue to watch these bigger stocks here in the market like AMD, Nvidia, even some of the more popular ones lately like ARM, SMCI for continued movement. They've been really blasting off, and if we see that volatility continue, there should be some fantastic opportunities. We had a ton of great plays tonight, Mike. I really like Enphase and ARM. I think those two are probably my favorites from the video. But let's go. Guys, keep that risk managed. I know there's been a lot of crazy earnings plays lately. Just keep your risk tight, and let's end the week strong tomorrow. Hopefully everybody's having a nice green week.
Exactly. We have one day left. Let's make it count, be adaptable no matter what, and follow the money. Every single day there's normally at least 1 to 2 stocks that move in an extra powerful way. Some days like today, it's a stock like AMD, while other days it's a stock like VKTX, right? Find the stocks that are moving in a consistent way, follow the money, and, ride that momentum. Keep your risk managed, as Tom said, keep your head up high, and let's make the end of this week a great one. Thanks for watching.